Well, hello, it's Dr. Cheryl, and psst, it is live masterclass time. Yes, indeed, only for the next 2 weeks. I am teaching my free passion masterclass. I do this once a year. More than 10,000 couples have attended this class. It's extraordinary. I want you to be there. So click below and choose one of the 4 times that works for you. What's going to happen? So on 4 different days and times, I teach this class live. It is an extraordinary deep dive into the 3 predictors of great relationship and the 4 predictors of why relationships fail. You'll get a little wee workbook. You'll get a chance to work with your partner, ask questions, and start conversations that, frankly, you need to be having, and you're probably not. I'll also tell you all about my upcoming 3-month journey into the Become Passion program. That kicks off in just 2 weeks. But hey, either way, come to the free masterclass, click below or go to my website, drcherylfraser.com, and make sure you register. Cannot wait to meet you. Don't worry, it's all confidential and anonymous. You won't be on camera at all. Only I will be on camera, but you will be able to submit your questions to me and I will answer them. I will stick around at the end for at least an hour to get to know you and your sweetheart and help you any way I can. I can't wait to meet about 2,000 of you in the next 2 weeks, and then a very select 100 of you in the 3-month program that kicks off the 3rd week of October this year. The only time. Be there or be square. Can't wait to meet you. I have a question for you. Maybe you have a question for me, actually, but here's the question. Why is long-term relationships so difficult? I'm not being negative at all. I'm a tremendous advocate for love, as those of you joining me this week for the free masterclass are finding out. What a thrill, what a joy to get to know you. But the facts are pretty sobering. Only 11% of longer-term couples, meaning they've been together for more than 2, 3, 4 years, say that they still feel that in-love feeling with their partner. They're more bored. They're more in what I call marriage incorporated, where they're kind of trundling along. They're doing life pretty well. You know, they bought the house. They're paying the colossal mortgage bit by bit. They've maybe had a child or 2. They're great parents together and they have some fun on the weekends as a family. But that sense of specialness, that sense of connection, that sense of you and I together against the world or with the world is really lost. Only 11% of you, including those of you I'm teaching this week, say that you're still in love with your partner. You still feel some of that excitement and thrill and brightness and specialness that you felt in the beginning. And maybe for the first few years, do you remember when you felt like the most important person in your partner's world? Now, chances are, if we scrape through the layers of dust and mud, you still may be the most important person in your partner's world. But how well or poorly are the 2 of you doing at making that clear to each other? Does your partner right now, as you're listening to this, and thank you for listening, by the way, does your partner right now, in this moment, on this day, night, evening, wherever you are, wherever this is in your earbud or whatever, do they know with confidence that they're the most important person in your world? Right now, are they feeling loved? Right now, are they feeling special? Right now, are they feeling grateful that the 2 of you are walking this path of long-term love together? Only 11% of you say that's happening. 11% of who, Cheryl? Very good question. Right now, you're hearing this on a Monday, and tomorrow, Tuesday, I start for this week only, the only time this year, teaching my free live couples workshop online. Now, this is totally confidential, and you're not on camera or anything like that, so don't worry about that. But I really, really want to get to meet you, even though I won't see your lovely face. You can talk to me in the chat box. You can send me private questions about your relationship. So this week, I'll be meeting 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 couples from across North America and other English-speaking parts of the world, because unfortunately, I don't speak other languages at this time. And I will be taking a deep dive into what we're talking about right now. So join me. Why wouldn't you? Your relationship is worth it. I'm going to really teach deeply on the 3 keys to great relationship. I'm going to talk about the divorce predictors, some of the techniques I use in my 3-month program and more. So please join me there. If you're a listener, it means you resonate with my style in some manner, that you find my advice, my guidance, and my personal stories helpful in some manner. So I want to help you move from where you are now to where you want to be. So make sure you're in one of those master classes. You can click where you're listening to this podcast and select the time that works for you. I'm teaching it 4 times this week, live each and every time. A little bit different each and every time, but the core content remains the same. I change it a bit based on who's there and what your prevailing questions and concerns are. And choose one of the times and join me. And if none of the times work, I've spread them all over the week in different times for different time zones, then register for one anyway, and we will send you the recording that you can have for about a limited time. And you can watch it then. Okay, so why is long-term love so hard? I said only 11%. feel that in love feeling and connected. And it's because we're being swept up in life. We're being swept up in the detritus of running our lives. And we so rarely keep our eye on the big picture. This is in life in general, in business in general, in everything. We get caught in the minutia. We get caught in the problems that are temporary, like a small argument with a family member that'll be resolved in the next couple of weeks, but it can obsess our mind. And it's like a bunch of clouds cover the sun, but the sun is always there. And when we're caught in our life, in our marriage incorporated, in our issues and worries and problems, which have validity, by the way, I'm not dismissing them. But oh my Lord, how often we forget how bloody lucky we are to be with this perfectly imperfect partner we're with. If your partner got diagnosed today with deadly cancer and they had 6 months to live, how would you feel? How would you treat them differently? Would you wake up to the preciousness standing right in front of you? I know I would. I try to do that often. I practice the work I share. I practice what I preach, but I often forget. I get mindless about how lucky I am to have this, as I call him, the most patient man in the world in my life. Did you enjoy the last few podcasts with my special guest star, my hubby, talking about his side of the clock, his perspective on relationship and some of our struggles and triumphs? Make sure you go back and listen to those if you haven't had a chance to yet. Why is long-term love so hard? I mentioned one, we fall excuse me, we fall out of love. We might still love them. We're not looking for an affair. We're not looking to break up, but it's just this roommate situation. And that is a big problem. But thankfully, it is to a large degree, if you're willing to put in the work, make your love life a hobby, make effort, make love intentional, it is something of a solvable problem, meaning you can move forward from where you are and start dating each other again, romancing each other again, surprising each other again. I had quite a fabulous last month in terms of special events with my husband. It was his 60th birthday, and we really love live events. So I got tickets for a number of things over about a 3-week span. We went to the Disney Lion King Broadway musical. We love theater. We love musicals. We love serious, dark, deep theater as well. And this was particularly special for us because we've had the incredible privilege and pleasure to go to Africa and travel on safari. So to go to the beautiful Lion King Broadway musical, it really, it actually brought tears to our eyes and really connected us with something special we've done together in our life together so far. Then on a different night, we went to a live outdoor comedy festival. That was extraordinary. Some of my favorite comics who I had not yet seen live. I'm a huge stand-up comedy fan. Mike Birbiglia and John Mulaney and Fred Armisen. So that was really great. And it was in beautiful Stanley Park outside Vancouver, British Columbia on a gorgeous late summer evening. And then to my great joy and sadness, because it was their last tour I'll probably ever see, I went to see my favorite rock band, The Who, with my husband. I've seen them 15 or 16 times. I've been a raging fan since I was about 13 years old. And it was beautiful. It was moving. The concert was fantastic. If you're a Who fan, Roger's voice was better than it's been in the last 2 times I've seen him in the last 10 years. It was amazing. Why do I share this with you? Because this is an aspect of dating your mate again. Right? I took my sweetie on these 3 spectacular dates. He does that for me. And sometimes we F it up. Sometimes we get lazy, we get busy, we get tired, we get swept up in the busyness of our careers and life and pets and all the things. And when we go a month or 2 without really paying attention to this aspect of our relationship, you'll hear in the masterclass, it's what I call thrill, appreciation, dating, connecting, making sure our partner feels like the most important person in the world. This is a huge part of what we do in our marriage and what I teach all of you to do on the free masterclass. And the select few of you who choose to join me, I take only 100 couples once a year. On the 3-month journey, you will have some major transformations in your relationship. Don't take my word for it. You can watch the testimonials, the videos of people who've been in the program. You can find that link below where you're listening as well. So why is long-term love too hard? 3 reasons. I've covered the first one, what I call lack of thrill, or it's boredom, or I'm not in love anymore. Huge thing to work on in our relationships. The second one is communication and connection, what I call psychological intimacy. Holy smokes, why do we not feel as happy or excited or fulfilled in our relationships? Communication on all sorts of levels, right? First of all, let's talk about the really tough negative stuff. How do you fight? How do you argue? Do you ugly fight? Too many of us do. And I will admit with some real regret that I sometimes do. Do you sometimes criticize your partner? I can get into a negative headspace spiral where I'm very negative, talking to my partner negatively, criticizing him, pointing out the things he's forgotten. And because he has very severe ADD, which he tries his best to manage with schedules and timers on his phone and all sorts of things, he does tend to forget things that he means to do. And if I'm not taking good care of me and we're not taking good care of us, I can get into this negative spiral where I'm very critical. Do you do that too? If so, I feel your pain, but we all need to clean that up. I spend the first 5 weeks of my 12-week, 3-month program on communication. Do you name call? Do you threaten the relationship? That means you say, I can't stand this, I'm out of here, or I want a divorce, or I can't put up with this anymore. These implied or explicit threats that mean we're over, which of course will really trigger your partner and escalate the argument or make them shut down or feel unsafe, like they're going to leave me, they're going to divorce me. Talk about a bomb, talk about a grenade to lob at each other. I've done that in the past. I've cleaned that particular one up. Do you treat your partner at times with contempt? This is the biggest predictor of relationship agony and eventually divorce. Contempt is where you put your partner down in a sneering way that implies or explicitly actually shows that you think that they're a lesser human than you. Something like, why did you do that? You're so stupid, right? Or who does that? Or there's no point even talking to you about this because there's no way you can possibly understand. Or I can't believe I married someone like you. I really should not have. I made a huge mistake. But you hear in my voice, right? This sneery, put down negative tone. And that's a critical thing to watch out for. So what am I talking about here? I'm talking about why is long-term love so difficult? And I'm talking a bit about the 3 key blobs, the 3 key areas. Instead of calling them blobs, I call them the 3 sides of the relationship or passion triangle. The first one is this thrill, dating, appreciation, lighting each other up. How hard would you work to make your partner feel special and let them know how much you love them if they had 6 months to live? Well, hopefully they have 6 decades to live, but that's not an excuse to not make sure they know how special they are. And it's not an excuse for them to not be letting you know how special you are. No, I'm not talking about 24/7. I'm not naive. I'm pretty good at what I do. And I'm in a real marriage, but we can all try harder daily to ensure our partner knows they're important to us. Tell them, show them. We spend 4 weeks in the program on building this up with all these great exercises and tools from sex therapy, couples therapy, etc. You'll hear more about that in the master classes. They start tomorrow. I'm teaching one Tuesday, one Wednesday, one Thursday, and one Saturday this week only for the only time this year. So make sure you join me. Make sure you come. We'll send you a little workbook, which is great. You get some conversations starting. Conversations maybe the 2 of you are not having that you need to have about your ugly fighting, about how lonely for dates you feel. So back to communication. We're in the second of the 3 main areas, right? Communication. I call this psychological intimacy as well. So how do you fight? Is it ugly or is it fair? Do you know how to argue and debate about a painful, difficult topic? Maybe you're really on opposite sides of the fence about your finances. One of you's overspending. One of you's holding the purse strings. It's a real problem, and it's been a problem for the 2 of you for quite a while. Do you know how to approach a hot button or a difficult topic like that well? Are you able to talk and eventually understand where your partner's coming from, whether or not you disagree? This is the key thing I teach in that part of the program. People tell me over and over it's the most important thing they've learned. But can you talk about a trigger, difficult topic to the extent that at the end of that difficult, challenging, structured conversation I'll teach you, you understand where your partner's coming from? You might disagree. You might be triggered by it. You might be upset by it, but you understand them because guess what, folks? Your partner's different than you. They have a different life view. They have a different culture, a different background. They're not necessarily wrong. I like to say your partner's not wrong. They're just different. They're not wrong. They're just different. You can either be right or you can be happy. Do you know how to have conversations that end up with your partner understanding you better and you feel seen and heard? And you understanding your partner better and they feel seen and heard. And then the 2 of you in future conversations the next day, a couple days later, can move towards maybe finding a compromise together or an agreement together, in this case, around how you're going to handle your finances. And you're going to do an experiment for the next month or 3 months. You're going to try to handle your finances in the following way. You're going to hammer out a plan together. You're going to follow that plan, and then you're going to review the plan and see if that's working for you or if it needs tweaking. Oh my goodness, that's how to run a successful business, right? It's also how to run a successful love affair. So, to review, why is long term love so hard? It's because we don't have the skills, we don't have the knowledge, and we're often trying with a lot of heart and soul, a lot of skin in the game, a lot of passionate desire to be happier and not fight so much and to understand each other better. But we're kind of wandering around like zombies in the mist trying to figure this out. You need structured, science based tools and knowledge. The knowledge is such a relief because you find out you're normal along with 89% of other couples that aren't feeling in love, along with 67% of couples that have ugly fights, and along with 30 to 40% of couples who aren't making love at all. We're going to talk about that in a minute. That's the third and final of the three big blobs, the three sides of the passion triangle, the three reasons long-term love is difficult. And many couples, the vast majority, are not nearly as happy in their long-term relationship as they want to be. So again, coming back to the second side, communication, ugly fighting, talking about difficult things and not being ugly, being able to move towards understanding and eventually some actions that work for the two of you. That's one big part of communication, but there's another whole area, which is, do you remember when you were dating and you'd talk for hours and you were fascinated in learning about your partner and you felt like you were the most important person in their world? They were interested in you. They were interested in the minutia of your day and your hopes and dreams. They were interested in what your values were, what mattered the most to you, and they cared about what was bothering you. Maybe you're worried about a work thing, or you're worried about your knee being sore because you really wanted to train for that half marathon for your 40th birthday, and you're really worried that you might not be able to, and you're waiting to see the physical therapist. They know you. Do you feel these days that your partner knows your inner world and you know their inner world? Do you feel as though the two of you are connecting at that deep level, the way I bet you did when you were falling in love? Because one of the most powerful and beautiful and seductive aspects of dating someone new and special and beginning the falling in love process is it is so easy to have long conversations and you're both interested and you're both asking questions and you're paying attention. Oh my goodness. We went out for a quick bite of sushi last night. And one of the downsides of being a couples and love expert is I can get pretty bummed out when I'm in public, when I look around at all the couples. We're this nice sushi restaurant, simple place, booths, etc. We like it. They do good fresh fish. We get a lot of great sushi here on the Pacific Northwest coast. And I looked around and there was, I don't know, half a dozen couples and 3 or 4 families where there was a couple and a couple of kids and then a few, girlfriend groups, etc. And most of the couples, I think 5 out of 6 of the couples in the restaurant were on their phones. They weren't looking at each other. They weren't chatting with each other. They weren't acknowledging each other. I know. You don't want a big get off your phone rant from me, but you're going to get a little one. For God's sake, when you're out with your partner, put your phone away. The only reason to have any bells or ringers on is if you have small kids with a babysitter and you might need to be reached for the health and safety of your children. Other than that, ringers off, buzzers off, everything off. Have a bloody conversation. Ask interesting questions. We do this in one of the weeks in the program, and I run a little competition where I give people a handout of interesting questions to ask their partner. Things like, if you won $1 million tomorrow, what would you want to do with the money? Or if you could go back to your 21-year-old self, what advice would you give him, her, or they? Or if there was one thing you could magically change about yourself, what would you change? And then a more tricky question, if there was one thing you could magically change about me, what would you do? It's a way to teach you how to have the kind of deep, meaningful, interesting question and answer and conversations and soul searching together that most of us have got really lazy about. And we're like, how was work? Good. How was Johnny's math test? Pretty good. He got 8 out of 10. He was pretty happy. I gave him a high five. And then that's it. You run out of things to say and you pick up your phone. We need to learn how to communicate about each other, about what's happening, who we are, how we've changed. The hopes and dreams I had when I met my hubby 13 years ago have shifted. My priorities have shifted some. And if we're not updating each other, inviting each other into our inner worlds, sharing our hearts and soul, we're not up to date on this precious, amazing person. I've got something yucky to share with you now. One of the main causes, in fact, the main cause of sexual or emotional affairs is we meet someone who finds us interesting. and asks us questions and is excited about some of the things we're excited about. Maybe they also love dog training. I've got a puppy I'm taking to training classes right now, and I really enjoy that. Maybe they love skiing. Maybe they also want to travel to Greece, and your partner never expresses an interest in that when you bring it up. It is very compelling to have someone find us interesting. And if you don't have the emotional self-awareness, which a lot of people don't, to realize these strong feelings you're starting to have for your coworker or the parent of another kid at your kid's hockey practice you sit next to and talk about the kids in hockey, and they're interested in you and you start talking and you feel drawn to them. It takes self-awareness to realize, holy heck, I'm feeling something towards this stranger or new friend or new acquaintance now that is making me think about them a lot. And there's a bit of a romanticized feeling and an attraction happening. I need to take handle of that. I need to look at that. I need to maybe come back to my partner. This is a difficult conversation. You might need some professional help to do it and say, look, I need us to talk about us. I feel kind of lonely and distant and like we really don't have a lot of fun. And I've been really shaken up by having some sort of romanticized feelings towards someone else. I don't want that to go anywhere. I'm going to choose to stop chatting with them, but it's woken me up in a red flag situation to realize we need to invest more in us. Come to one of the masterclasses this week. They're free, and I will give you my heart and soul to help you walk out of there with your partner having a much better understanding of these three key areas that you need to work on. And the super good news, we haven't got to the third yet, I've referred to it as sexuality and sensuality. And the really good news that when you do work on these aspects of who you are, things can improve. It's hard work. There's a reason my online program, Become Passion, which kicks off in a couple of weeks with no more than 100 couples, is a 3-month, we usually go 3.5 actually, program. Because if I just give you the kind of information I'm giving you today, I hope it lights you up. I hope it gives you some hope. I hope it gives you some information. But you need to really roll up your sleeves and do the work. You need a lot of homework. You need to do it with your partner. When you run into trouble, you need me to guide you. I teach live every other week. There's a whole curriculum you're going to work on with your partner privately in confidentiality at your schedule in your own home. But then every 2 weeks, you can come to a live class with me where I will answer your questions. You can send them to me anonymously. I don't need to use your name, and you can get the help to move forward. Because this stuff, if it were easy and natural, we'd all be a lot happier with the amazing, imperfect, but oh my goodness, holy heck, lucky us. This person who's chosen to walk through life with us. What an incredible privilege, and one that a lot of us may be squandering. And it's not because we don't care. It's because of the things I'm mentioning now. We stop romancing each other. We stop making each other feel important or appreciative. We don't know how to handle tough, ugly conversations. We don't know how to handle them. And we may have then learned that we don't know how to resolve differences, say around money or the kids or sex, or if we're going to move or not, or should we invest in a new business, and should I quit my job? These huge life decisions. How do we navigate those? Do we feel like our partner's still really interested in who we are, what's happening, and how we're navigating life? Do we feel loved by them? Do we feel close? Do we feel like we are a team? These are the first two big areas, what I call thrill, romance, sexuality, etc. Then we've got what I call intimacy, but I don't mean sexual intimacy, communication, conflict resolution, closeness, hopes and dreams, and all that amazing stuff. And then we've got the third major aspect of relationship. It's major because of its emotional and psychological impact on a couple. It's major because when it's going well, it really predicts a lot more happiness and satisfaction with your relationship. It's major because it's the only thing that you can only do with your chosen partner if you're choosing monogamy. And that's our sensual and sexual life. You've heard this before if you're a regular listener, and if you're not, you're about to hear it now, and it will probably surprise you. It surprises almost everybody. Up to 30% to 40% of couples in a long-term relationship are not making love at all. My friend and colleague, the brilliant Esther Perel, says married sex is scheduled sex. People aren't having sex if they don't schedule it. My other brilliant colleague and researcher in the area of human desire, the wonderful Dr. Rosemary Bassan, says that the majority of long-term couples don't make love at all. Or if they do, they start from a place of sexual neutrality, which means they're not turned on, they're not horny, they're just choosing to move toward a sexual encounter because they know it's important and they know it will be helpful for them. Now, my hubby and I talked about that in a really open and frank and vulnerable way in the last podcast. We talked about how we schedule sex, what happens when we don't, and we had a great sex life for the first 8 years, 9 years we were together, and then menopause and aging hit, his testosterone changes, which happens to all men as they age, and we really had to reevaluate and reignite and replan and do different things with our sexual life, methodical things that didn't feel as romantic, things that took planning and effort. And oh my God, am I depressing you right now? But I don't mean to depress you. You know what's depressing is neglecting our sexuality through our lifespan. And as it changes through childbirth, through parenting, through going through your 30s and 40s where you're working all the time and you're tired, and then through your 50s, 60s, and way beyond, where your sexuality changes due to hormones, changes in your body, changes in your psychology. Holy smokes. Why is long-term love so hard? Because we don't have the knowledge I'm giving you right now. You've probably never thought of it in this way. What are the 3 key areas of relationship and how are the two of us doing on it? Come to my masterclass and you can evaluate it together. In the little workbook we'll send you ahead of time, there's actually a way to rate yourself on these 3 sides and then have a conversation about it. It's incredibly helpful. How are you doing with communication, fighting, intimate communication, being able to understand each other and knowing that your partner is interested in and knows your inner world? How are you doing with dating, edification, making sure your partner knows you adore them, having fun together? My sweetheart and I had so much fun at the Who concert, so much fun at the Comedy Out, and so much fun at the Lion King. And yeah, we did all of those things on our own because we love going on dates. We also like going out with couples that we care about, but when it's just the two of us doing something out and special, we have the best time. We reconnect. We sort of more or less fall in love again with each other. And then there's the sexual part of your life. If you're completely sexless, you're in very good company. 30% or more of couples listening have not made love for a year or 3 years or 5 years or 10 years. Patty and Tony were one of them. They're a couple who joined my program 2 years ago, the 3-month program. They found me on the free masterclass that I hope all of you will be attending this week. And they had slept in different bedrooms for the last 5 years. They also had a lot of history of ugly fighting, some alcoholism in one of them, a bit of mental illness that was then treated and controlled. But they'd had a really, really, really rocky bunch of years. And they were in their retirement years and they didn't want to give up, but they didn't know what the heck to do. They saw the masterclass, they came to the masterclass, and they chose to join the program. They worked through the 3 big chunks of what I'm teaching you, because in the 12 weeks, we spent a lot of time on each of them, and we build up to the 3rd and final chunk or blob or side of the triangle, which is the sensuality and sexuality side. And when we get there, I only start tackling sexuality and sensuality once you've got a lot of skill in communication, emotional regulation, you understand each other more deeply, you're having more fun, you're being kinder to each other, you're playful again, you're laughing more. Then and only then do we look at sexuality. If I looked at it too early, it wouldn't work. So Patty and Tony and hundreds of other couples found that they were able to start doing some work together, because I give homework and worksheets and things and deep dives into what turns me on these days and what doesn't, and what would it take for me to begin to get sexual with you again, and what gets in the way, and how is my body working, and what are my orgasms like, and guiding you to have those kinds of conversations the way Patty and Tony did, where they moved into being sexual again. They moved back into the same bedroom. They now plan the greatest dates. They live in New Jersey and they'll go into the city of Manhattan and they will go to a Broadway show or they'll go to Central Park and have a picnic. Patty created one super romantic date where she sent an Uber to pick her hubby up after work. He's a blue collar guy. And she said, surprise, just dress up nicely and get in the Uber and it will deliver you to me. And it delivered him to the hotel they had spent their wedding night at. She had rented the same room and she was waiting at the door with a lingerie and a smile. This is a couple in their 60s, by the way. Do not think that fun and sexy time is just for the young. Not if you listen to this show, you know it's not. And they had a romantic dinner. She had balloons and they had this amazing, beautiful, amazing date together. It may have even been their anniversary. And they chose the following summer on the Jersey Shore, just themselves, to renew their vows. He got rings and he inscribed them, begin again. Because begin again is one of the major slogans, one of the major mantras we use in all of my work, which is no matter how badly you're doing, no matter how lonely you feel, no matter how ugly the fights have been, you can begin again. And that's the only option we have, is to begin again to improve. And if you're doing pretty well, then what we work on in your sexuality, because maybe you make love once a week, couple times a month, once a month, and it's pretty good. It's what I call nipple, nipple, crotch, goodnight, which is pretty good. I touch you here, you touch me there. Ideally, we both have orgasms. We feel emotionally closer. We're pleased we did that. It's a happy, good thing. But how frisky can you get? If you're not making love very often at all and it's kind of mediocre and you really miss the kind of passion and lusty feelings, which tend to wane a lot over your lifespan, as you heard us talk about, my sweetheart and I talked about in the last podcast, then I help you move from no sex towards sex. Not all at once. You might need months and months and months to work up to where that's something that's going to be doable and appreciated by both of you. If your sex life isn't great, I help you figure out why and how you may improve it. If your sex life is pretty good, we want to move you towards great. And you and your partner are a unique pairing. Every pairing is. And I work with you to figure out what kind of sexuality is healthy and good for each of you. And then where does that overlap for the two of you? That's what we do toward the end of the program. Because again, my loves, we need to do a lot of foundation building before we work on sexuality. Anyone who teaches a Great Sex Now course, they may be knowledgeable. I hope they are, but sex doesn't happen in a vacuum. We're not birds. We're not bees. We're not dogs. We're not cats. We're humans. And our sexuality is really complex. So we need to work on our relationship, our kindness, our respect for each other, and so much more. So that's what I wanted to bring to you today, is why is long-term relationships so difficult? Because we don't know that it takes, like anything else in our life, effort and training and work and putting in the time and making it a priority. And we often end up, as almost all the couples who take a journey with me say, even if they're doing pretty well, they said, we're just not nearly as happy as we'd like to be, and we want to learn how to become more happy. You've got to work on communication and intimate communication and psychological closeness and more. You've got to work on what I call thrill, dating, appreciation. Does your partner, as I said earlier today in this episode, does your partner right now know how much you appreciate them? If not, pick up the phone, send them a text, go find them in the house, give them a big hug and say, I just want you to know I really, really appreciate you. And here are some of the reasons why we work on this week to week, day to day, month to month in the big program. But if nothing else, my loves, join me this week, and this week only, until next year, for my live passion masterclass. I can't wait to get your questions. I can't wait to send you the workbook. I can't wait to work with you. Which brings us to today's Love Bite. Great relationships are not an accident. There are 3 keys to creating the kind of passion and closeness and play and fun you desire. It's never too late to begin again. Thank you so much. I'm Dr. Cheryl Fraser. Can't wait to be with you next episode. For now, go make sure your partner knows how much you appreciate them. Till next time, bye for now.